Picture a crab scuttling along the shore, its hard shell gleaming under the moonlight, a fortress against the crashing waves. This is Cancer, the fourth sign of the zodiac, a symbol of nurturing strength and quiet endurance. As an astrologer, I've spent years observing the celestial patterns that shape us, and few signs intrigue me as much as Cancer. Ruled by the ever-shifting moon, they are the zodiac's emotional guardians, soft-hearted yet fiercely protective. But what happens when this guardian's shell begins to crack? Not with a thunderous shatter, but with a whisper, a retreat so subtle it's often missed by even those who claim to know them best. Have you ever seen a Cancer break? It's not the fiery explosion of an Aries or the icy retreat of an Aquarius. It's a quiet vanishing, a slow fade into the shadows of their own shell. Let me take you into the hidden world of a Cancer's collapse, a place of unspoken pain, masked resilience, and a depth of feeling that could rival the ocean itself. Cancers are the unsung heroes of the zodiac, the ones who hold space for everyone else's storms while their own brew unseen. They are the friend who brings soup when you're sick, the sibling who remembers every childhood story, the partner who senses your mood before you've even spoken. But what lies beneath this tender exterior? As an astrologer, I've charted countless Cancer placements, and one truth stands out. Their strength is a double-edged sword. They give so much that they often forget to reserve anything for themselves. Consider Anna, a Cancer sun I once counseled. She was a single mother of two, working long hours as a nurse to keep her family afloat. Every day she'd come home to cook dinner, help with homework, and listen to her children's dreams, all with a warm smile. Her friends called her a rock, her colleagues praised her patience. But one evening, after months of this relentless giving, Anna didn't show up to her usual book club. Her phone went unanswered, her texts unread. When someone finally checked on her, they found her sitting alone in her darkened living room, staring at a wall, unable to speak. This is the Cancer paradox. They are so adept at masking their struggles that their breaking point catches everyone off guard. Their moon-ruled nature makes them emotional sponges, soaking up the joys and sorrows of those around them. But sponges, when overburdened, begin to leak, or worse, disintegrate. Have you ever noticed a Cancer in your life growing quieter, their laughter a little less frequent, their presence a little less steady? These aren't random quirks. They're signals of a soul stretched thin. Anna's story isn't unique. Across my years of practice, I've seen this pattern repeat in Cancer moons, risings, and suns alike. They wear their mask of strength not out of pride, but out of love, a love so deep it often costs them their own peace. And yet, how often do we pause to ask, "Are you truly okay?" before they slip away into their shell? To grasp the silent struggle of a Cancer, we must first dive into the cosmic waters that shape them. Cancer is a cardinal water sign, initiated by the summer solstice, a time of emotional blooming and intuitive awakening. Governed by the moon, the celestial body of tides, dreams, and the subconscious, Cancers are wired to feel everything and feel it deeply. In astrology, the moon represents our inner world, our instincts, our need for security. For Cancers, this translates into a life lived through the lens of empathy and protection. They don't just sense your pain, they carry it alongside their own, weaving it into the tapestry of their heart. This lunar influence gives them an almost psychic ability to read a room, to know when someone needs comfort before a word is spoken. But it also makes them vulnerable to emotional overload, a burden they rarely voice. Take James, a Cancer moon client of mine, as an example. James was a high school teacher in his late 30s, known for his patience with struggling students. He'd stay late to tutor, write encouraging notes on essays, and even fund supplies out of his own pocket. At home, he cared for his elderly father, a widower battling dementia. Every night, James would sit by his father's bedside, recounting old family stories to keep his memory alive, even as his father's recognition faded. On weekends, he'd check in on his sister, who was navigating a messy divorce. James was everyone's anchor, steady, reliable, unwavering. But beneath this facade, his own emotional reserves were draining. He began missing deadlines at work, something unthinkable for him. His once tidy apartment grew cluttered with unopened mail and half-eaten meals. Friends noticed he'd stopped joining their weekly trivia nights, dismissing it with a casual, "I'm just tired." Astrologically, this is textbook Cancer behavior. Their cardinal nature drives them to initiate care, to lead with their heart, but their water element keeps their own struggles submerged. The moon's phases mirror their emotional ebb and flow, full and radiant one moment, dark and hidden the next. James's chart revealed a stellium in Cancer, amplifying his sensitivity. His Venus in Cancer craved connection, his Mars in Cancer fueled his quiet determination, and his Mercury in Cancer made him a master of unspoken understanding. Yet, no planet in his chart urged him to prioritize himself. Over time, the weight of his empathy became a silent tsunami, eroding his spirit. Data backs this up. Studies on emotional labor, like those from the American Psychological Association, show that caregivers, a role Cancers naturally embody, are at higher risk for burnout and depression. For James, the cracks appeared in small ways: a trembling hand as he poured coffee, a vacant stare during staff meetings, a night spent awake replaying his father's fading words. These were not laziness or disinterest, they were the quiet pleas of a Cancer nearing collapse. Now consider Maria, another Cancer I've worked with, whose story adds a different layer. A graphic designer with a Cancer rising, Maria was the glue in her friend group. She'd host elaborate dinner parties, complete with handwritten place cards and playlists tailored to each guest's taste. Her home was a sanctuary, adorned with soft blankets and framed photos of her loved ones. But when her best friend faced a health crisis, Maria threw herself into action, driving to appointments, researching treatments, cooking meals for her friend's family. She didn't complain even as her own deadlines loomed and her sleep dwindled. Then one day her Instagram, usually brimming with art and cozy updates, went silent. When a friend dropped by, Maria answered the door in pajamas, her eyes red, her voice barely above a whisper. "I just need a minute," she said, closing the door before tears could betray her. This retreat into their shell is Cancer's hallmark, a sanctuary turned refuge when the world becomes too much. Their breakdowns don't announce themselves with fanfare. They unfold in the shadows, a testament to their depth and their danger. The heartbreak of a Cancer struggle lies in its invisibility. They don't demand attention or broadcast their pain. They bury it layer by layer until it's a secret even to themselves. As an astrologer, I've watched this unfold time and again, and it never ceases to stir me. Cancers are so skilled at being there for others that their own suffering becomes an afterthought, a footnote in the story they tell the world. Picture Sophie, a Cancer sun in her mid-20s, whom I met during a consultation. She was a social worker, passionate about helping at-risk youth, often staying late to ensure her clients had safe places to sleep. Her colleagues admired her dedication, her clients adored her warmth. But Sophie carried a hidden weight, a childhood marked by neglect, a wound she'd never fully healed. She poured her unresolved pain into her work, believing that saving others might save her too. Then came the turning point. One of her clients, a teenager she'd fought to protect, relapsed and disappeared. Sophie blamed herself, though no one else did. She kept showing up to work, her smile intact, her voice steady. But at home, the facade crumbled. She'd sit on her couch for hours, staring at a photo of that lost client, tears streaming silently down her face. Her roommate noticed the dishes piling up, the laundry untouched, but assumed Sophie was just busy. Friends texted, inviting her out, and she'd reply with vague excuses, maybe next time. No one saw the nights she spent awake, the moments she clutched a pillow to muffle her sobs, the mornings she forced herself out of bed with a face washed of all evidence. This is the cancer tragedy. Their pain is a private affair, a storm that rages behind closed doors. Have you ever overlooked a cancer's quiet retreat, mistaking it for strength when it was really surrender? When a cancer finally breaks, it's not a crescendo, it's a stillness. The crab doesn't fight the tide. It lets it sweep them under, retreating fully into the shell that once shielded them. This is the climax of their emotional journey, a moment so understated yet so profound that it redefines their essence. Let's look at Daniel, a Cancer sun and moon whose chart I analyzed last year. Daniel was a chef, renowned for his comforting dishes. Soups simmered for hours, breads kneaded with care. His restaurant was a haven for his staff and patrons alike. He'd listen to their stories over steaming plates, offering wisdom or a gentle laugh. But Daniel's life was a tapestry of loss. A divorce that left him reeling, a brother lost to illness, a business teetering on the edge during a recession. He bore it all with a stoic grace, keeping the kitchen running, the smiles coming, the support flowing. Then one autumn the dam broke. It started small, a forgotten order, a burned sauce, mistakes he'd never made before. His staff brushed it off, but Daniel felt the shift. One night, after closing, he sat alone in the empty dining room, the hum of the refrigerator his only company. He didn't cry out or call for help. He simply stopped. The next day he didn't open the restaurant. His phone went to voicemail, his apartment blinds stayed drawn. When a worried friend finally pried the story from him, Daniel admitted he'd spent days in bed, replaying every loss, every burden he'd carried alone. I didn't want to bother anyone, he said, his voice hollow. This is the cancer breaking point. A retreat so complete it's as if they vanished from the world. Astrology offers insight here. Daniel's natal moon in Cancer squared his Saturn in Aries, a tense aspect signaling a battle between emotional needs and relentless duty. His Jupiter in Cancer amplified his generosity, but its opposition to Pluto hinted at a tendency to self-destruct under pressure. The transiting moon had just crossed his natal Chiron, the wounded healer, triggering a flood of suppressed grief. For Cancers, this collapse isn't weakness. It's the inevitable result of a heart that's held too much for too long. Research supports this. A 2021 study in emotion found that individuals with high empathy, think Cancer's lunar gift, are prone to compassion fatigue, a state of emotional exhaustion that mirrors Daniel's fade. His story echoes countless others I've charted. A Cancer rising who quit her job without warning, a Cancer Venus who ghosted her partner after years of silent sacrifice. They don't break loudly, they break inward, a surrender that's as devastating as it is discreet. Yet, even in their deepest retreat, Cancers hold a secret weapon: resilience. Like the crab that navigates both shore and sea, they adapt, endure, and eventually emerge anew. Their shell, once a tomb, becomes a cocoon, a place to heal, to reflect, to reclaim their strength. Take Rachel, a Cancer sun I followed for years. After a brutal year of caregiving for her terminally ill mother, Rachel hit her breaking point. She stopped answering emails, skipped family gatherings, and let her garden, her pride and joy, wither. Friends worried, but Rachel was deep in her shell, grappling with grief she'd never voiced. She'd sit by her window watching rain streak the glass, whispering apologies to her mother's memory. It was raw, messy, and utterly Cancerian. But then something shifted. One morning, Rachel picked up a paintbrush, a hobby she'd abandoned years ago. She started with tentative strokes, then lost herself in color, filling canvases with blues and silvers that mirrored her lunar soul. She didn't announce her return. She just showed up one day at a friend's brunch, a quiet smile on her lips, a small painting in her hands as a gift. Over weeks, she rebuilt, planting new flowers, reconnecting with loved ones, even laughing again. It wasn't loud or triumphant. It was a gentle unfurling, a crab stepping back into the light. This is the Cancer magic. They break, but they mend. Their resilience isn't flashy. It's in the small victories, the tender moments of self-repair. Rachel's chart, with her moon trine Neptune, hinted at this creative rebirth, a testament to the healing power woven into her stars. It's a reminder that even in their silence, Cancers are survivors, crafting beauty from their scars. The journey of a Cancer's breakdown is a quiet odyssey, one of depth, sacrifice, and eventual renewal. As an astrologer, I urge you to look closer at the Cancers in your life. Beyond their warm hugs and knowing glances lies a soul that feels the world's weight. Notice the missed calls, the forced smiles, the times they pull away. They may not ask for help, but they crave it, silently, desperately. A simple gesture, a text, a visit, a heartfelt, "How are you really?" can pierce their shell and remind them they're not alone. And if you're a Cancer reading this, hear me. Your empathy is your gift, but it's not your burden to bear alone. Let someone in, let your voice be heard. You've held others up, now let them hold you. If my words have stirred you, if you've seen a Cancer's silent struggle or lived it yourself, I'd love to hear your story. Drop a yes in the comments, share your birthday, or tell me about the Cancer who's touched your life. Let's build a space to honor these lunar souls. And if you want more cosmic insights like this, please like, subscribe, and tap that bell. Your support keeps these stories alive. Stay with me because the stars have so much more to reveal, and the next tale might just be the one that speaks to your heart.